Hey, it's Justin with Seaboard Marine. In this video, we're going to pre-service a C-Series Mota Aftercooler. This happens to be a C-Series Mota, but the same principles apply to other aftercoolers. Same basic idea for a B-Series Mota or even the older style aftercoolers. They might go together with a few different little parts or shims or whatever, O-rings. The configuration is a little different, but the basic idea is the same. So we highly recommend you pre-service your aftercooler. We actually offer that as a service when you buy an aftercooler from us. You can check the little box and have it delivered to you pre-serviced, ready to put on the engine. And it makes a big difference next time you go to take your aftercooler apart. Check out this video and we'll show you how we pre-service a C-Series Mota Aftercooler. Okay, I'm here with Ben. We're going to service a C-Series aftercooler. What we do here might also apply to a B-Series. We might make another video, but these Mota Style Aftercoolers, these Mota Style Aftercoolers, this is basically the general approach here. First thing we did is we put a couple of nice long bolts. Usually they're sitting right in here, and we got it in the vise. Notice the bolts are on this side of the vise, you know, to kind of give it some stability there and make this really tight. We do not want to drop one of these aftercoolers. So tighten that thing down real tight. Okay, so what's the first step, Ben?
Okay, so the first step is to actually mark the area. You want to make sure that the orientation of these caps are set to how they were when you originally took them out of the box. So what I do is I just get a little bit of white out, and in this aftercooler specifically, usually you would just run a line straight through, but this one has this like weird little plate on the inside, so I do another mark here just so that I have it there for good measure. You go on the other side. To differentiate from that one, what you're gonna wanna do is, I just like making two marks. You get one, you get two, and you get that little plate that's inside, just like that. Now we know how to put it back when we take it off.
Yeah, we can't mix up the caps or the insert.
Exactly. So, first things first is you want to loosen all these bolts. It should be super easy just because these are brand new. For the 6 ETA specifically, you're going to use a 13 millimeter. Come in that like that. Take them off.
And we prefer you do everything by hand on these. It's okay to disassemble with the impact, but do not assemble these aftercoolers with the impact. You can strip out the bolts. We've had it happen, so don't assemble it with the impact. Now, while he's doing that, Tony noticed, wanted me to point out that these don't come with any condensate drain plugs. So this is how it comes straight from Cummins. So you got to put some plugs in there. We'll get to that later. So first thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna pull off the caps. I'm not gonna bore you with video on that of all that, but he's just gonna use a wrench by hand, and we also have the nice T-handle wrenches over here. Those are nice. Yeah. And pull the caps off, and then we'll check back in a sec. And then we're leaving this top one for last, right? So it,
yeah, so it doesn't
fall on us, flip around on us. All right, last one here.
Have to hold on for dear life. For me personally, I just like holding it. I mean, it's already loose, so yeah. It may take a few more seconds, but at least it's not gonna fall.
Right. Do not drop that.
These are very expensive.
I don't even know if we can get just the caps for the Motas.
Not for the Motas. Okay, so that comes off just like that. And I like putting them on different sides of the table. Just
that makes sense.
Another measure, so you don't get anything mixed up.
Yeah,
There's gonna be one O-ring on top of this one, and if you notice on this aftercooler right here, you'll see on the other side, this plate on this side is actually fixed onto the core itself.
Yeah, I see that.
This is where you're gonna push it out from when you're pushing it.
Okay.
So then these two come up. On this side too, particularly for this aftercooler, I haven't seen it in other ones. There's two little nuts that are in here. You're just gonna get it off with an Allen wrench, and we have those on that side of the workbench. And then this isn't gonna fall off because it's
it's all the way.
I'm gonna get the other side off now.
I kind of am.
All right, so I'm gonna get this last one out, and then you're gonna notice, as opposed to the other side, it's kind of fighting me a little bit. I didn't twist it enough. There it is.
Got it.
Got it?
I'm in a better spot, I think. Yeah. There you go.
Cool. Okay, so same thing for this side. There's another O-ring. If you can't get it off with your... Oh, no, this one came off. Okay.
Use an O-ring pick.
Yeah, we have O-ring picks.
And we're not going to reuse those, right?
No. We don't end up reusing them, so I'll keep them over here. These take the ACOR3 Mota kit for this.
Got it.
So we have an ACOR3 kit for the older ones, but the ones you're going to need have Mota at the end of the SKU.
And there's a notch and a little pin.
Yep.
So it's kind of hard to mix that up.
Yeah, and then like I was saying on that side, it has that fixed plate. This side over here, you pull this off very gently.
It's just the O-ring, I think. We don't want to stick something sharp and pry in here.
No. Okay.
Just be real gentle. You don't want to be scratching anything. These are the sealing surfaces for the aftercooler.
Just like that. This is where you're gonna push the core out that way.
Okay, ready?
Okay, so just gonna end up. Oh, there's an O-ring right here. Actually, two.
Kind of jams it in there. There's O-ring picks right over there.
These kind of fight you a little bit, but the flat O-ring pick is
Yeah, the 90-degree pick is pretty good.
probably the best.
Okay. There we go. Didn't take much to get it moving.
Yeah, now that the O-ring's out, you can push it out a little bit. Then you're just gonna pull this out gently, and then be careful here with your hands because this could cut you up. I grab it, but just because
They're sharp and you don't want to bend them.
Yeah, so
These bend real easy.
you gotta be real careful with how you're pulling this out. Sometimes it helps to twist it a little bit.
Yeah, the straighter you keep it, and if it kind of binds, you might need to kind of don't force it.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna put that somewhere safe.
So I'm just gonna put that over here, just like that.
Okay.
And it actually fell out, but look right here on this end.
One
this
more O-ring.
O-ring here is green, and it actually goes in our Mota kits. It's gonna be the red one.
Okay.
That's in there.
Or the brown or red.
So
Okay.
goes in there.
Yep.
Okay. Now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna grease everything. You gotta grease the plate right here where everything's gonna connect. Anything that has metal touching metal, you need to grease it. So very generous, very even coat. Goes in a long way, and make sure you get like these little
Yeah, get those
little
inside.
edges,
Yep, inside
everything in
corners.
here. And then you don't have to go too crazy, but maybe I would say about an inch or two inside. You're also gonna want to grease in there. The reason for that is because the core housing has that little brass part on top, and it's gonna touch the inside here. So Tony likes just having a little bit on the inside grease too.
Yeah, it's helping provide just a little bit of a barrier between the dissimilar metals.
Okay, so that's one side, just like that.
Okay.
On the other side.
So we're greasing up this end, same thing. Make sure you get inside that, where the O-ring sits.
All right, and then where that O-ring sits, you're gonna want to grease
And make sure it gets all the way into that.
inside like that, and then just make sure that you're actually putting it in there, because sometimes the brush will fight you.
All the way in that crack, yeah.
Okay, just like that, and then
A little bit
on the
inside.
sides right here. And this one's kind of weird. It kind of grooves out like inside, so
Oh, yeah.
just where the
That's where the
points-
air travels.
Yeah, point of contact comes in.
All right.
All right, so brown O-ring is a green O-ring that came out on this side, the bottom side. We are going to grease up this part down here, just like that. All right.
Okay, so we got that greased up.
I'm gonna go down in there like that, and then it's gonna go over this black plastic piece right here, just like that. And then you want to put a little bit more grease on top of that O-ring, just to be sure, just in case. And then put some on top right here too. We did grease the contact points already inside of the aftercooler housing itself, but this is just for good measure. Now, I'm gonna pick it up, slide it in. There's a technique that you can use. So this is the point where you want to meet with
Yeah, we got
these
our
right
white,
here.
our 2 white marks.
So I'm gonna try and put it in an angle first.
Okay, hold on, let me get over here. So you're kind of putting that over to your right, so that you can kind of twist as you go.
Right, so you can push it in, and usually they'll go in just fine, but in other cases, sometimes it might fight you, so having a bit of rotation.
Well, what happens is that flat air side, go back one sec. Just twist, right there, just twist it. So there's a flat air side here that is gonna face the air side, and there's this dome side. So what you're doing is you're putting this dome against where the air channel is inside here. See how this is all hollow here? And you're putting the flat side against this, facing towards this curved side. So instead of having engage this the whole way, you're basically giving it more space by pushing this towards the air side and this towards the inside surface, and that lets it go in even if it's not perfectly true and straight. Because these aftercooler cores, we've seen even with the other cores, the old B and C cores, they're never perfectly true and straight. Everything kind of warps and changes when they manufacture them. So that just twisting it just kind of helps get it through there, and then you just kind of twist it into position as you finish it out, and then line up the.
Just line it out like that.
Okay.
So back to the grease, just lots and lots of grease, okay? You're gonna wanna grease up these little Allen nuts that we pulled off. These go in here.
And it's not about necessarily lots of grease as much as it is consistently applied on every surface. A good liberal coat. It's not about gobbing it on 1/4 inch thick. It's about having it on every surface. And then I would snug these up, kind of tighten them evenly so you don't squish the O-ring into a weird position. So just kind of go like a little beyond hand tight and then a little beyond hand tight, and just kind of bounce back and forth. Not too crazy, but bounce back and forth a little bit before you fully tighten them. All right, so we're gonna go nice and, we're not gonna use a big, what do you call it, socket wrench, a big long, 1/2 inch drive socket. Basically make this about as tight as you can make it with one hand, nice and firm with like a T-handle or a small Allen wrench, regular Allen wrench. You don't need to get crazy with these, just tight, but not like, we're not gonna torque them to the max with a big cheater bar or socket wrench. And we're gonna grease the in here. Okay, so lots of grease, all nice even coat of grease.
Yeah, so you grease that too. And these 3 O-rings are all the same size, so the installation for these are pretty straightforward. You can't really mix these up. So this one is gonna go over just like that on there. You can put a little bit more grease on the O-ring.
Okay, so we got extra coat of grease on top of the O-ring, and then we're gonna grease the cap before we put it on.
Yep.
We're just making sure we get that O-ring grooves, that little groove for the O-ring down in there, the steps in the, yeah, just like that. Make sure you get that brush down in there. And of course the whole mating face.
Okay, and then this goes back to the way that we lined it up. You see those white out marks? Just like that.
Perfect. And then we're gonna put grease here. I'll hold this for you. You wanna have your first bolt, at least your first bolt greased up if you're working alone before you put this cap on here. Grease up the threads real good. I would actually go ahead and put a little grease all the way up the shank, not just the threads.
Okay.
Go ahead and, yeah, dab some in there. Yeah, there you go. That'll spread around. Grease up the whole shaft of the bolt. Even the bottom side of the head a little bit is fine too. Yeah, there you go. So while Ben's finishing greasing up the bolts and putting them in on this cap, we can go ahead and, this is already all greased. Never hurts. Just to make sure we got a nice even coat, I'm gonna do this O-ring groove one more time. We want it to look pretty like that. And then we're ready for the O-ring. So brand new O-ring from our AC Mota kit. Put this on here. Oops, hard to film and do this at the same time. And then I'm going to hit that again. So the O-ring's all greased up. And now we're ready for this piece, which I can't grease with one hand. Can't grease and film, so. Okay.
Okay. So you're gonna tighten this down, kind of like a wheel on a car.
Lug nut pattern?
Yeah. So you're gonna go in a star thing. So what I do is you have to set it in first before you start tightening everything. So I'll go in and it's not even, if I put it in like this, it's still pretty loose, but it's just kind of pressed in there. You're gonna want to go directly above, just like that.
Across. And just tighten it until you see it kind of seat here and you kind of feel it. But we're not going tight. Yeah.
And with all the grease, you'll see it pushing out as you're getting close to it being kind of set in. So, right here, press down a little bit and go directly above it. See right there, it's starting to set.
Yep.
Go here. Now, I'm going about tightening it.
And we're gonna same pattern, just alternating sides. And what does Tony say about how tight to make it?
Hand tight. You don't want it.
Hand tight.
You don't want it too crazy tight because eventually they're gonna have to service this thing and get it off and everything like that. It's not gonna leak considering how much grease we put into it.
Yeah, and we're not using an impact, and we're tightening, alternating both sides, and just again, we're using this T handle, so you can go put a little bit of muscle into a little T handle like this. If you're using a ratchet, a regular 3/8 drive ratchet, you can put a little wrench on it. If you're using a larger ratchet or anything that has more mechanical advantage, then you need to be careful not to over tighten it. But with a little T handle like this, you can put a little muscle into it and feel it nice and tight. But this is not a tool that is meant for high torque. So go ahead and put a little muscle into it with that, and that's a good way to make sure you don't over tighten it. So we got this one already done with the O-ring and grease. Now we're gonna grease up the plate.
And pay attention to where this was, just so that you know where it's gonna line up.
Yep.
This one doesn't have the Allen sides, but there is a little pin here. It's covered in grease.
Right.
But these two.
Yeah, between that pin
like that.
pin and that notch, I don't think you can mess it up actually.
Right. It'd be real hard to.
Okay, so we got grease applied all over both sides. Show me both sides. Let me see. All over both sides. Pop that in there. There you go.
Just like that. Right, then you're gonna get another O-ring. My hands are so greasy.
Yeah, that's how it is when you do this. Your hands get pretty greasy.
Just gonna go around with it right here. That's lube.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and then.
Right, so that, and then try not to use your fingers. You should kind of just go over it one more time.
I like to brush. The finger can kind of wipe it off. Yeah.
Just like that.
Okay. And then we're gonna grease that cap and put it on just the way we put this cap on. All right, so we got that all greased. Let's see inside.
Yep.
Inside the cap is all greased up.
Yep.
Especially inside the O-ring groove. And we got one bolt greased up this time, so he doesn't need my help.
Make sure that actually is in there.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna grease up all the bolts, torque them down with that same pattern. Okay, same. First, we're just gonna make them just barely hand tight, just to get the cap seated, using that alternating pattern, and then we'll torque it down to, nice and hand tight with this little T-handle wrench, and that'll be about it for this cap. Then we're gonna put some condensate plugs in here. I think we got them right over here. Where are they? Oh, right here. Right in front of me, of course. Okay, and then same drill. I applied grease to the threads all over the O-ring, on both sides, on the plug and the hole. And then we'll just thread this in. And this has an O-ring to seal, so it doesn't need to be crazy tight. Just use a T-handle like this and make it about as tight as you can with one hand. There we go. That's it. And I'll put the second one in and grease the hole too.